And so Christmas comes with a lot of excitement. The food, the travel, the family gatherings. But when the celebrations begin to wind down, moments like Boxing Day often invite deeper reflection.
Reflection like what? I was expecting to see boxes today.
Well, I'm expecting one from you.
Excuse me. I should be getting
Ladies first.
presents from you.
Ladies first.
Ladies first in opening the boxes, not in giving. Anyways, Victor, now beyond the carols and the color, Christmas reminds us of sacrifice, giving, sharing, and thinking beyond ourselves.
And for Nigeria, that message feels especially relevant. From insecurity to economic pressure and social tensions, it is clear that peace doesn't just happen. It is built deliberately.
Yeah, built through everyday choices. Sometimes sacrifice is not dramatic. It's choosing dialogue over anger, restraint over revenge, and unity over division.
Exactly, and sustainable peace starts with small but meaningful actions. Tolerance in our communities, empathy across faiths and cultures, and fairness in how we treat one another.
Have you been fair to me this year, by the way?
I have. A lot of things I've done for you behind the scenes. So that's enough.
A lot? Did you say a lot?
A lot.
I'm looking for them. Anyways, it actually means looking out for others, supporting community efforts, standing up for justice, and extending compassion to those who are hurting.
So today on Good Morning Nigeria, and fittingly on Boxing Day, we are asking a simple but very important question. What does sacrifice for peace look like in our daily lives?
We'll be examining how Nigerians, individuals, leaders, and communities can put the collective good above personal interest and why that choice matters now more than ever.
Well, thank you for joining us on this reflective edition of Good Morning Nigeria. I am Victor, as a welcome.
And I'm Yanwe John. Compliments of the season to you. We're live on the network service of the NTA, and of course we have so much in store for you on the NTA today and always. All right, many thanks for staying with us. It's still Good Morning Nigeria live on the network service of the NTA. And just before we get into the conversation with borders on making sacrifices for sustainable peace, let's take this background report from our correspondent Ibrahim Bello-Gunda.
The lessons of sacrifice for peace, exemplified by Christmas, centered on selfless love, humility, and reconciliation. The primary lesson is that true peace requires a willingness to put the needs of others before one's own. Jesus, who was divine, emptied himself of his privileges and power to live as a servant. Beyond material gifts, the Christmas narrative emphasizes the sacrifice of time, emotional energy, and personal desires for the benefit of others. This form of giving is an imitation of Christ's self-giving, love, and leads to genuine joy and deeper connection with others. Pride and selfish ambition often fuel conflict. Thus, Nigerians should embrace a humble mindset that counts others as more significant, as exemplified by the sacrifice of Jesus Christ for peaceful coexistence. In essence, Christmas exemplifies that lasting peace is not achieved through power or dominance, but through sacrificial love that inspires personal transformation and service to others. How can Nigerians adopt the lessons of sacrifice for peace as exemplified by Christmas? How can faithful shy away from pride and selfish ambition, which often fuel conflict? And what are the lessons to adapt from the season for the good of all? These and more are some of the questions guests on Good Morning Nigeria will find answers to on the program as we focus on making sacrifices for sustainable peace.
Many thanks, Ibrahim Bello-Gunda, for that background report, and joining us to begin our conversation on making sacrifices for sustainable peace. Let me introduce here in the studio first, Imam Fuad Adeyemi, National Chief Imam Al-Habibiyya Islamic Society. Always a pleasure to have you join us on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everybody, and compliments of the season.
Same to you. Let me also welcome here Chris Agiri, who is Director General Flag Foundation of Nigeria. We thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Nigerians. Merry Christmas.
All right, also joining us for the conversation, but not right here in the studio, joining from our Kaduna studio is Dr. Sali Momale, the former Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna Peace Commission. I hear he joins us from our Kanu studio. Many thanks for joining us, sir. Compliments of the season.
Thank you so much, and good morning, Nigerians.
Also with us for the conversation, joining us via Zoom from Kachia in Kaduna State, Reverend John Joseph Hayab, Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, Northern Chapter. He's also the Country Director, Global Peace Foundation, Nigeria. Many thanks, Reverend, for being our guest this morning. Compliments of the season.
Same to you, and good morning to you in the studio and to all Nigerians.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. Let's begin from here in the studio, and I'd like to start with Imam Fuad Adeyemi. Now, this is Christmas. You are a Muslim cleric. Christmas is also a week to the New Year. But what does it mean for you, the whole of this season, particularly when we talk about peace, national cohesion, and the likes?
Well, thank you so much. We thank God that at least this year's celebration, at least we can say by God's grace, we have recorded a lot of peace and peaceful coexistence. To me, some few days ago, I just finished a particular training. We call it Training the Trainers, of which we brought so many religious leaders together, including Christian and Muslim. And there, we all agree that we should stop deceiving ourselves, that living together, it is the essence of creation by God himself. That God has the strength, he has the power to say, if he wants all of us to be Christian, nobody can stop God from making all of us Christian. If he wants to make all of us Muslims, nobody can stop him from making us Muslims. And he has decided to make some Christian, to make some Muslim, and some other, and all other things. So it means anybody who wants those things to be fused together is actually working against God, because God himself does not want it that way. So then who are you to think that you are more intelligent than God? And also, with this type of season, those who know me will also tell you that if I was just calling my wife, said, have you gotten any rice this time around? Because I am waiting for her. I've decided nobody should cook in our house because I know I will have friends who will send food to me. And that is the essence of it. You see, one thing I always tell people about food, I don't know what God wants to use food for, but when you give food, naturally there is peace, there is prosperity, there is happiness, and there is good cohesion. So when the time of Christmas, I remember when we were young, the only thing, I'm sorry, many people might make jest of me, but I wouldn't mind. It is only Christmas Day that we eat rice and chicken when we are growing up. But all of us look up into Christmas, that Christmas is coming, because we are sure of having rice and chicken. Because it's very rare for you to...
You're more used to ram.
No, not even that.
No, protein was not a thing.
It was not. Chicken and rice was meant for the elites, the highly elite at the time we were growing up. Those who know, you know what they call the Makarantan Zaure, where you are under your parents. The only thing we know is learning Islam. So that kind of a thing is exclusive. So when it comes, we're always looking forward to it. So this time around, I think it's a time that all of us should now reflect the more. On NTA, I do not know whether you have watched the last program. The title, the topic is Our Jesus. Where a Muslim and a Christian, we are all together. We are now discussing Jesus. Who is Jesus to you as a Muslim? Who is Jesus to you as a Christian? It was concluded that Muslims, they have more access to Jesus, more information about Jesus than Christian. For example, the birth of Jesus Christ in Islam is much more comprehensive than what led to his birth in the Bible. For example, when the mother was pregnant, Mary, in Islam, Mary, she's the first lady in Islam. That is Mary, the mother of Jesus Christ. So when she was pregnant, in the Quran, Mary was pregnant through direct word of God. When Allah said, kun, and it be. So when Mary put to bed, Mary, who has been in a place where we worship God, I don't want to say mosque, I don't want to say church, I don't want to say synagogue, where she was, and she was pregnant. She was even feeling shy to come out that she was pregnant. But when it was confirmed that she was pregnant, she gave birth. After giving birth, people were making jest, you that you don't have a man, you've never been married, where do you get a child from? By the time people want to insult her, as they are asking her, she pointed out her hand to her son of about 2 hours old. And the son, who is Jesus Christ, said, no, my mother is an honored woman. I am a servant of God. I was born with honor. And he said, Wasalamu alayya fi yawmi wulidtu wa yawma amutu wa yawma, that peace be unto me the day I was born, peace be unto me the day I will go, and peace be unto me the day I will rise again. So Jesus Christ in Islam was a strange, one of the, in National Assembly, there are some people they call graded senators. I don't know if you know that. Ranked senators. Ranking senators. Among the prophets in Islam, we have 5 ranked prophets that involve Muhammad, Abraham, Jesus, Moses, and Noah. 5 of them are ranked prophets. Ulul Azam. That's what we call them in Islam. So it means Jesus Christ to us. Let me use one language somebody used to me. Is one of us, and we're one of him.
Beautiful. I like that. He's one of us, and you are also a part of him. Many thanks, Imam, for that foundation that you have laid, as regards what we're celebrating this season, which is Christmas. I'll come to you now, Chris Agree, before we get into, the deepest part of this conversation, which is about making sacrifices for sustainable peace. What are the lessons, that Christmas brings?
Yeah, well, universally, it's a common knowledge to say that Christmas is a period of love and sharing. And yes, it's a celebration marking the birth of Jesus Christ. And everybody knows what Jesus Christ stood for. His gospel of peace, love, care, and concern for one another. And then it's unfortunate that a lot of people give different interpretations to issues surrounding Christmas. Some will even argue that that's not the real birth of Jesus Christ according to historians. But universally, Christmas is a period of celebration. It's a period for one to exhibit love to one another. You see, like Imam said, hampers, rice, going on here and there, you eat from your neighbor. In as much as I don't know how much Nigerians are eating now because of the economic situation, but it's a period that people reflect of what Jesus Christ, the gospel of Jesus Christ stood for, what he represents and what it means. Ultimately, love for your fellow human beings, not love for your fellow human beings. So it's a period that people should renew their love, their care and concern for their fellow human beings. Back here in Nigeria, of course, just like during Salah, during Christmas, the issue of religion, religious differences does not arise. You share in common whatever you have, whatever God has provided for you. And, it's also a period of reconciliation, because when you give a gift to your neighbor, you may not be in talking terms, he is not likely to reject that gift. So let us show love, reflecting on the birth of Jesus Christ, his gospel, what he stood for, and what he represents up to the present.
From your peace-building work, what have you found that Nigerians find the most difficult to sacrifice? Is it pride? Is it power? Or is it profit?
Yeah, peace building effort. Beyond, it's unfortunate that virtually everything about our country is politicized. Beyond politics, the major component that is lacking is lack of adequate information. For example, the president has just declared a national emergency on security. That is just one component of enhancing security in our country. He has talked in the issue of state police. They also mentioned issues about mass recruitment of security personnel. These are different components. There's a major component that will be lacking, and without it, we can't achieve sustainable peace, which is the subject matter here. That is the role of the citizens in nation building, the role of the citizens in enhancing peace and security within the country. Until the people are carried along, until the masses understands their role, their duties and responsibilities in enhancing peace within their community, within the country at large, we cannot achieve that target. Like we said, see something, say something. Another aspect is issue of trust, because peace building, peace enforcement, that equals to security. In security proper, all hands must come on deck for you to have a sustainable security. And then the sacrifice. Nigerians are willing to make sacrifices. One, if there is trust between them and the security agencies, that will that would endear them to give information, to see something and to say something. Another thing is for them to know that the president is not talking about his own security, he's talking about my security, he's talking about your security. And that as a citizen, you have a role to play for your own security, and then extended to my own security. From the family level, the village level, the community level, the government must take appropriate steps in letting Nigerians know that, look, these are unusual times. This is it's not a business as usual. That we are being threatened by terrorists. Let's be frank about it, from outside and from within. And that as a citizen, it is your own peace, it is your own security that is being threatened. But the government must go, must sensitize, mobilize, galvanize the citizens to know that, look, it's not about passing the buck to security agencies. Even if you have 1 million security agencies, they can't cover all the places at the same time. You must cooperate with them. You must work with them. You must trust them to be able to give information about movements of, suspicious movements, where you see, strange movements, and then without that, we cannot achieve sustainable peace. As far as I'm concerned, the citizens are yet to be galvanized, are yet to be mobilized, are yet to be sensitized that you don't pass the buck. When anything happens, you start waiting for the army, you start waiting for the police, you start waiting for the vigilante. It is your duty and responsibility. Of course, we say the first law of nature is the law of self-preservation. For you to self-preserve, you also, by extension, self-preserving your others. That is the issue. Citizens must come alive to their duties and responsibilities in ensuring peace and security across the country.
All right,
if we don't achieve that, we are not going to have sustainable peace.
Many thanks. Of course, you have spoken about what the citizens must do, but much later we'll talk about whether dealing with the whole issues that we have in Nigeria, if it's a bottom-top approach or a top-bottom approach that would work, really, because that's another conversation a lot of people, get twisted. Let's get to our guest in our Kano studio, Dr. Momale. I would like you to, speak to us about the season. By the way, we want our viewers to know they can be a part of this conversation. You can send in your comments, your questions, and the number is on the screen. So SMS or WhatsApp messages, and it will be read. Now, Dr. Mamade, so yes, this is Christmas, another Christmas. I mean, you've seen so many Christmas celebrations. So would you say that in the way we celebrate as a people, we have become better, or things have changed compared to the past? You know, when we celebrate, whether Christmas, whether Salah, whatever it is, what have you noticed in the way people celebrate?
Thank you so much, and good morning to all Nigerians. I wish to rejoice with all our Christians, brothers and sisters, over this festive period as we look forward to a very peaceful and prosperous 2026. I think the earlier speakers have set a very good precedence to this discussion. We all know that the nature of human beings, the way God has created us, we always want to celebrate, we always want to rejoice, we want to feel happy, we want to associate, we want to interact with each other, and that's the pleasure of life. Without a very conducive environment, people's life will become so restrictive, people will just be, living miserable lives without opportunities like this. That is why you see in every culture, in every religion, there are festivities, there are periods where people openly interface and interact, and it makes life very inspiring, it makes life very, very nice. So we are all happy whenever opportunities, whenever this period comes, and the importance you can see some people right from January will start saving for December, for Christmas. And some people, for the Muslims, they will start saving for the Salah period, over 6, 7, 8 months. And you make very beautiful clothes for your children. They feel very inspired. They feel very happy. So everybody is looking up to this period. So for us that grow up in multicultural, multi-religious communities and societies, this is one of the most interesting parts of our youthful life when we are very young, just like Imam Fawut have mentioned. Up to this period, I think this is a very, very important event, and this is what makes Nigeria a very vibrant country. And this is what makes us so proud in this country. And that's one of the major pillars of our national unity. I think just like the Director General of the Flag Foundation just mentioned, the errors we make in terms of politicking and organizing our societies and mobilizing and galvanizing our citizens, like you just mentioned, are some of those gaps that have existed, which have allowed some of these negative narratives, some of this ethno-religious violence that we have witnessed. I am happy to see my dear senior brother in Kachia. I envy him a lot, how I wish I was very close there just to jump to his residence and felicitate and things like that. But again, it's part of this period. We have free time to come to meet our families in Kano and things like that. So I think you can see the beauty of it. Everybody leaves the city center, he goes back to his communities, he interacts, he interfaces with people, and you can see the vibrancy in Nigerian society. Just like you mentioned, the key ingredients that we need is this understanding, is this major drive towards recognition that we are all one, we are all humans, we have similar needs, we have similar desires, and collectively we can be able to sit together, to understand each other, to work together, and to have lasting and enduring peace. Like you said, what have changed over these years? It's not much significant. The young children are always looking to these events. You see the colors, you see the beauty. So all these things are similar. The only thing that has changed was some of these few years where we allowed some of these very, very, very simple, insignificant differences amongst ourselves to drive us into, divisions and narratives, and allowing few people with extreme views to dominate the space, to dominate the narratives, to dominate, even influencing people and gathering quite a number of disgruntled youths in our urban areas, in our rural areas, to indoctrinate them into criminal activities, to indoctrinate them into various forms of ethnic or religious extremism that has resulted in some of the violence that we have seen over these years. But I think the situation is positively changing. We are happy, like Imam Fawad mentioned, that the build-up to this season was very peaceful. We are all happy and everywhere is very peaceful. And you can see people traveling back to their communities to celebrate with their own brothers and sisters far more than we used to witness 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. And I think this is a positive development. We thank the Nigerian Television Authority, we thank our media organizations, we thank our political leadership. We express our appreciation to our religious leaders for keeping the promise, for doing what exactly our Director General just mentioned, mobilizing the grassroots citizens to recognize that we are one society, we are one community, united in faith and united in humanity. And together, working together, we will make Nigeria, we will make the right sacrifices that will make Nigeria very peaceful, very cooperative, and a unifying nation that all the world will look up to as we used to be some few decades ago.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Salim Omale. Thank you very much for your contribution so far. We'll get back to you. But for now, let me head up to engage Reverend John Joseph Hayab, who has also joined us. Compliments of the season. I hope we can hear you. Perhaps you need to unmute.
Here, I believe you should hear me unless there's something wrong with the system.
I'm just wondering, if we talk about sustainable peace, is forgiveness, or how important is forgiveness in peace building?
You see, forgiveness comes in because there's an acknowledgement of wrong. There's an understanding that I said something or I did something that the other person is not happy with, or what I have done has created pains or make the other person feels bad. And as a Christian, the Bible says whoever claims to have no sin is a liar. We have to acknowledge that in life we wrong one another. We do things that hurt the other person. And that is what Christmas symbolizes. Because God, in his plan for humanity, sent Jesus to reconcile the world back to himself. So forgiveness is important. And every believer must have as one of his virtues the heart, the willingness to forgive. What makes a family strong, what makes a family grow is the willingness of different parties in the family, whether father and mother, parents and children, siblings among themselves, to forgive one another. We have actually had challenges in this country, but when we cultivate the habit of forgiving one another or acknowledging that yes, something went wrong, then forgive or ask for forgiveness, then we forgive one another and move on. You cannot grow with unforgiveness. You cannot be strong with unforgiveness. You cannot move your family forward with unforgiveness. So as a way of training, every parent teach his children the important virtue of forgiveness. Forgiving people in the home, forgiving those they meet in the market, forgiving those they meet in school and everywhere. So I just love this idea of you bringing in the first part of my contribution, asking the role of forgiveness. Sincerely speaking, we need to emphasize and teach our people more on the need for forgiveness. Let our children grow to know that they will be hurt. Someone will do something that they will not like it, but let them learn to forgive. When we teach our children this virtue, they will grow and our society will be better.
All right, looks
Are
like...
we losing connection to Reverend Hayab?
I'm sure that connection will get better, hopefully, but at the moment, it's freezing. Let's get back in the studio, Imam. I'd like you to pick up from where, Reverend Hayab tried to stop, with the forgiveness. But as we talk about forgiveness, can we also speak about justice in all of this and in pursuing peace?
Yes. I think the two are interwoven and interrelated. Quran says, "La tan'anu shan'anu qawmin alla ta'dilu i'dilu huwa aqrabu littaqwa." I said, do not deprive other people because you don't like them. Because of their enemy to you, you do deprive them of their right. Allah says that you must be just, and justice is what is defined to as faith. So if you claim to be faithful and you are unjust, you have lost at least 51% of your faithfulness. So the meaning is that you have failed. What shows how faithful you are is how just you are able to deal with people and the things around you. In Islam, justice is about 4 categories. There is justice between you and yourself. Do not deprive yourself of the right thing that makes you to live. Like my brother said, the first thing in Islam is life. When you do things that threatens your life or threatens the other people, you are unjust to yourself. That is one. Then 2, you have to be just between you and your God. There is also justice between you and other creatures of God, other men. Let me put it that way. That also creatures with the other men. What I mean by other men are other human beings. Then there are also justice between you and other creatures of God. For example, environment. Taking care of environment rightly to us in Islam is justice. You don't just kill an animal. You don't just cut down a tree. You don't just waste water. All those things to us are injustice. So the way you when you are in the midst of people, Quran tells us that those who are just, their blessing, even when they don't pray well, they have iman. I mean, iman to us is closeness to God. That those people who are just, they are close to God than any other person. And Allah also link it with forgiveness. In a particular verse of the Quran, Allah says, "Alladhina yunfikuna fi sarai wa dharai wal khasimina al ghaiza wal afina 'anil nas wa la yuhibbul muhsinin." Allah said that those who spend consciously their time, their life, they are giving things that God has given to them, that even when it is not convenient for them, they do the right thing. When it is against them, they say the truth. Allah said those people that also they forgive people when people offend them, and they do not only forgive, they forget it. And Allah say those people who do that, they are his friend. I think they are loved by God. The question now is, we now want to define and relate that love to all those things. Many of us don't understand love. We thought it is just the mundane one. That is the concept of love. The concept of love is when you love somebody, everything that comes from that person is good. That person will never do anything wrong. I remember when I was just growing up, some of my brothers, they love me so much that if you come to say Fuad has done something, my brother will say, the moment you have mentioned Fuad, he has gotten 51%. Any other thing you want to say, let's say, listen to it. Even when it's wrong, they are still alive. So love is something that gives you everything you can imagine. And when God describes you as somebody that is in love with, then you should just go and prostrate that you have gotten everything in life. And how do you get all these things? By being just. Justice, you see, I pity the leaders. When I say the leaders this time around, everybody that has the opportunity of being in any position in life, that you deprive other people. I always tell people, when we are in the mosque, some people struggle, they want to become imam. I tell them that it's only a fool that will struggle to become an imam. If 1,000 people are praying behind you, if you commit an offense, let's say, in Islam, there are a lot of rules about prayers. when you make something that is wrong, if that thing has stopped you from praying, you are allowed to continue the prayer. Everybody has the word of prayer, only you don't have. If other people commit an offense behind you, you are the one that carries it, they don't have it. So for being in front, it is to us in Islam, it is a great test of relationship between you and your God. It is not a place somebody, during the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he died, those who follow him, there was one of our leaders, who is called the second Khalifa. When he was about dying, they now say, will you not recommend your son to be a leader among us? He looked at the man with disdain. He said, what is my offense? You want all my families to be in hellfire. That me that has been leader is enough. Let me go and face, I don't know what I'm going to meet with my God. You still want my son to be part of it? He said, over his dead body. This is the thing which most of us will now struggle to be, because we do not know the implication of being in front, and we have forgotten the implication of being just. I even pity the media. If you see, I have to say this, the media people, when you are in the media, you are talking to people, and you shape people's thinkings and opinion. You feel that you are now a celebrity. You do not know to us. Everything you answer is before Almighty Allah. Whatever opportunity Allah has given to you, the way you use it, you will answer for it. Because the Prophet has told us, all of you are shepherds, and all of you will be asked the way you have taken care of your sheep, no matter how little, no matter how big. When you have an opportunity, you misuse it, you think it is you are the one that are in position, that nothing will happen. I always tell people, very soon, the forest will be too small for a lion. Look at those who think they are in position yesterday, who are unjust. I remember at the time I was a commissioner in the National Hajj Commission. Some states, they were cheating other people. You know, there are a lot of cheating everywhere. So one state, they wanted to fight. And I moved in, I told them, I said, Babas and Mamas that you want to fight, those who have been leading the Hajj in your state, can you tell me the history? Where are they now? Incidentally, around that time, one of them was in prison. Along that, one of them died. So one elderly man said, this man has appealed to our senses. Let's leave them to God. Nobody can go scot-free when you are unjust. You might be thinking this is right, and that is the reason why you should even forgive. When you do not forgive those who have cheated you, you have given them the opportunity that God can overlook them. But when you forgive, it's even worse in punishment and in response.
All right.
So the best thing is forgive them. When you forgive them, you allow God to take over.
Thank you. Thank you, Imam Fuad Adeyemi. Thank you very much. I understand that Reverend John Joseph Hayab is back with us. So I'll just get back to him so that you can round off your thoughts. But while at it, what should be the typical reaction when you experience injustice?
Well, as a human being, you must learn to be patient. You must learn to acknowledge that things will always not be the way you want it to be. So when you experience injustice, your first reaction should be, how will God do? What will God say if these things are done to him? And don't forget, in Christian teaching, we teach that Jesus Christ faces persecution. Jesus Christ faces injustice. How did he react? We as followers of Jesus, we're supposed to live like him. Little Christ, behaving like him. Though it is difficult, but we must learn to live with him. When Jesus teaches that when you are slapped in one cheek, turn the other cheek. Or when if someone asks you for your coat, be willing to give all. He is simply teaching us extreme patience. It is difficult, but that is what shows that we have the fruit of the Spirit. Because when you read the scripture, the Bible starts by saying that the fruit of the Spirit are patient, self-control, and you can go on and on and on. So forgiveness is an important virtue of every believer and every human being. But let's put it this way. Even those who do not have religion, or we call them idol worshippers, have a place to forgive in their practice. What makes us different? And that's why Jesus Christ said, if you only love you or those who love you, you have no difference. Because even the evil people love those who love them. What makes you different is you love those who love you and also love those who even persecute you or those who have done you wrong. So the teaching of forgiveness and the need for people to use the attitude and the character of God in dealing with disappointment is key to what, as religious leaders, we need to teach and encourage people to live with it. Because there is no way in this life someone will not hurt you, things will not go bad, but your attitude and approach towards it tells whether you know God and you love God and you believe in God and you accept the will of God from those who claim to know God, but they are not willing to forgive. You see, when you don't forgive, the pains of unforgiveness is on you, not even on the person you refuse to forgive. So it is important for us to encourage forgiveness in the way we do things. You talked about justice, which is important. The Bible in Micah 6:8 says God has shown us what to do, to love, to mercy, and to love, to do justice, love mercy, and be humble with our God. The truth about it is that God requires that we live just. God requires in our attitude to one another, we are just. God requires in our dealing with people, we are just. But you will still find people who are unjust. So let the attitude of not being just be on another person who you cannot decide how he lives his life, but not on you. You will be just to everybody you meet. Be just to those who bring their files to your table. Be just to people that you just meet them on transit. Be just to everyone that comes your way, and show mercy. And what leads to all this is the attitude of humility. When you are humble, you will take every other person as your own. You will treat every other person as you're treating yourself. And that's why the scripture also teaches that do unto others what you want them to do.
Reverend
I think I
Haya,
can complete that for him. Do unto others what you want them to do to you.
Very interesting conversation, and I like the words that have been uttered this morning. But I'm thinking whether in practice, if this is obtainable. You talked about Imam Adeyemi. You talked about leaving people to God. Reverend Hayab also tried to land on the point of forgiveness, irrespective of what they have done. Dr. Momale, my question is to you. If we forgive, if we leave people to God, how then do we advance as a people? I would like you to speak, as regards corruption, which is one of the main issues or the main challenge that we face as a people that has, affected our progress. Would you say that these terms, forgiveness, leaving them to God, is the way to go in dealing with the issue of corruption? And how does corruption undermine the sacrifice for peace?
Thank you so much. Personally, I agree with all the submissions of our discussants. Forgiveness is central to human existence. And unless societies and people and communities and individuals and families adopt that practice, we maybe continue to have, different types of reads that are over very, like I said, all simple menial issues of day-to-day living. So it's very important that our young people, like they mentioned, right from a very tender age, we orient our children and our communities to understand the virtues of forgiveness, the virtues of cooperation, the virtues of community and communal coexistence. These are very simple. But I do not subscribe, again, to the fact that people who deliberately, on their own, based on their own knowledge, flout the laws of the land, become corrupt, become indisciplined, become reckless, and begin to disorient society for us to say, okay, let's forgive them. I don't think that's the principles of forgiveness. That's the principles of accountability. People who decide to take up the position of leadership must be held accountable. And our systems of governance must ensure this. And our society, our people, and our communities must say no to all acts of indiscipline, all acts of corruption, and all acts of that, go against the laws of the land. We must collectively come. And that's why we want civil society organizations, we want the ombudsman, we want the law enforcement agencies to be very vibrant, to be very active, and that is why the Nigerian judicial system and the justice system must stand firm and be uncompromisable as far as matters of corruption are concerned, as far as matters of gross indiscipline are concerned, as far as individuals that deliberately flout the laws of the land. They must be held accountable, but in a just and fair way, because even if you commit a crime, you should be handled in a just and fair way. In other words, the punishment that will be meted on you must be within the ambit of the crime or the crime that somebody commits. It should not go beyond that, and he should not be treated against or handled against what the law provides. So accountability is very important, and I will agree with you that allowing corruption to go deeply rooted in some of the institutions of governance have greatly contributed in some of the current challenges that we are facing today. And we believe that as a society, we have to build up and come up with ways and mechanisms of not condoning corruption and reckless indiscipline.
Ali Momale, thank you very much. I like that you've made a distinction about forgiveness in interpersonal relationships and that which concerns people that have found themselves in positions of authority. One is forgiveness, one has to be accountability. All right, let me get back here in the studio with Chris Aguirre. And I'm thinking, in peace, when we talk about peace, how do we move it from mere slogans to community action?
Yeah, how we move peace from mere slogan. Because if you look at a lot of committees, when things happen in our country, they set up this committee, white paper, no white paper, all ends up in slogans and talks without action. Some also said that, some school of thought, that the first law of nature is the law of peace. There's no human being that does not need peace. You cannot thrive in any vocation, in any human endeavor, where the environment is not peaceful and enabling. Our subject of discussion is sustainable, making sacrifices for sustainable peace. Peace building and peaceful efforts. Every day is an everyday affair. You cannot have peace without justice in a society. You cannot have sustainable peace where a major component of that society feels neglected, feels marginalized, feels they are not carried along. You can only have peace in an inclusive society, inclusiveness of all major segments of the society. You cannot have peace without dialogue. Say, for instance, the IPOB of Nnamdi Kanu and all the rest of them, and all the agitations. Of course, you know I'm from the Southeast, and I disagree with their strategy, and I don't miss words about it. But the question is, they say the government have been engaging and discussing with different other form of people who feel they are not happy, they are not carried along and all that. Why is government refusing, as a father to all, to call them and say, look, what is your problem? What do you want? What is your challenge? You discuss it. First, those who are complaining or who are agitating must streamline what is it that they want from the Nigerian state. that they are not getting. That is where dialogue comes in. You cannot have peace, sustainable peace, where, there is, how do I put it? You cannot have sustainable peace when everything, so the economic center, the economic power is centered around a few people, a few hands. You cannot have peace where you see people in government living in affluence, where the majority of the masses are going home hungry. There's a quotation by this book, Great Speeches in History, written by George Fuller. I've forgotten the actual. He said, look, any free society that cannot feed the masses in their midst cannot guarantee the safety of the rich. For the rich to be safe, the masses have to be fed. They have to be. A hungry man is an angry man. So when you see people who feel so bad about certain things, find out what their problem is. I remember President Jonathan, during the launching of a book written by former CDS, Lieutenant General Rabo, he said, look, he mentioned the issue of Boko Haram. When Boko Haram said they were nominating President Buhari then, to dialogue with them as their listeners. So President Jonathan said when President Buhari became president that he was happy that he felt that he can now address the issue of the Boko Haram people. And up to now, was not able to address it and is still raging, which means we've not been able to understand what Boko Haram wants. What is it that Boko Haram wants? In other words, any group, or if you want something, if your demand is something that is unattainable, like them talking about, an Islamic state. Nigeria is a secular state. And of course, Nigeria is the only country that houses the largest number of Christians and Muslims living together in the world. There's no other country that has this large number of Christians, this large number of Muslims living together as one entity. And our country, Nigeria, has been a peaceful country. For example, the white and the white color in our national flag is a symbol of peace. Mm-hmm. Nigeria, from 1960, has been, an advocate of peace, contributing to peace mission operations all over the world. All over the world. Nigeria ranks about the first 4 countries in the world that contributes to, peacekeeping operations. And I tell you this, I grew up in a post-Civil War Nigeria. The Civil War was raging as a 6-7-year-old. Everywhere was chaotic. You go as you were running, you see dead bodies everywhere. Nasty environment. All of a sudden, January 1970, said the war had ended. For us as little children, all that chaos, all that trouble, everything just ended like that. It's like a raging fire and you poured water. And I grew up post-Civil War in a peaceful country. Peaceful country. Unmolested unless, armed robbers. There will always be criminality. As against what we have today, our country now becoming chaotic, Nigerians killing themselves, all in the name of whatever and whatever. That's not who we are. That's not Nigeria I grew up seeing. So, in order to have sustainable peace, we must trace where did we get it wrong. Yeah. Yes, given that the world is going through a period not so common. Terrorism is all over the world. I was listening to news, CNN last night, and the Turkish government arrested about 115 ISIS members who were planning to bomb churches the Christmas Day, and then New Year. The Turkish government. So it brings us to the question of this issue of religion and religious extremism. That is So you see, and ISIS is here. They have their agents here. Boko Haram, Islamic province of West Africa, Al-Qaeda, all of them targeting the Sahel region. So back to the subject matter. Nigerians must, and the Nigerian government must come to terms that, look, this is an unusual time. Then galvanize the people, mobilize Nigerians. Say, look, we're under attack. And we have to come alive to our duties and responsibilities as a people, because we face a common existential challenge to safeguard ourselves, to safeguard our environment, to safeguard the Nigerian territory.
Are there sacrifices to be made in attaining this?
The sacrifices are to be made. It's enormous. You owe it a duty as yourself. You. First, in terms of recruitment, I encourage young Nigerians to volunteer and enlist into the armed forces patriotically. If you don't, the law makes room for you to be conscripted.
No, but you think they don't?
Well,
you think you think that when they declare vacancies, I want to believe that more people than the amount of vacancies available apply.
Well, we have also had some states for years, for some years now, they're not able to fill their quota. Yeah. But that's a topic for another day. Civilian JTF, without which it would have been difficult to contain and hold Boko Haram at bay, was a voluntary thing. As a matter of fact, every citizen should volunteer his or her time, his or her resources, consciously, deliberately, intentionally, in support of the security agencies in whichever level you are. As we make sacrifice of going to church, contributing in church activities, going to mosque, contributing in church mosque activities, and so on and so forth, we should consciously make sacrifices for the peace and sustainability of peace in our country.
All right, many thanks, Mr. Aguirre. We should consciously make sacrifices. And so far, listening to this conversation, the sacrifice, the commitment is targeted at the people, what the people must do, for us, to actually have peace. But Imam Adeyemi, my question to you is, must we always demand sacrifice from the people all the time? What concrete sacrifices have the leaders made, in trying to build this peace we're talking about?
I think the challenges which we are facing is most people who are in position of authority, they were just there by the grace of what they have. It's not that many of them are not competent to be there, I'm sorry, with all humility. And that those who are competent there too, probably because of the people around, will not allow them to function well. The DJ has raised something that is very germane, I think, to us in this country. You use what you have to buy what you need. And what do I mean? Nigeria is the only country where we have huge number of Christians and huge number of Muslims living in the same country. What does that mean to us? If you notice, if you want anything to do, to be done, if you pass through religious houses, you discover that that thing could be done easily, almost effort. I don't know whether you have noticed that. My personal experience, not just book knowledge this time around, whenever I'm in public like this, I always want to say things the way that I've touched, the way that I've witnessed, the way that I've involved in, so that you see in practical terms how this thing could work. I remember during the last minister when they were talking about passport, Nigerian passports. They said they were telling people don't pass through the tout again. And somebody was able to talk to the minister then say, pass through religious houses. Tell the pastors, bring them together, bring the imam together, let them announce. Now, more than 80% of Nigeria are not passing through tout when they need their passports again, because that thing really worked. Our leaders were underutilizing what God has given us as far as religion is concerned. I've always been saying this. We don't know. Hardly is there a Nigerian who does not believe in one God or the other. Hardly. And hardly is there a Nigerian who does not respect one of his religious leader or the other. All what you need to do, bring these leaders to get people together, guide them on what to do, let them guide their people. Watch it, just sit down and you see it working. Even this issue of security is because the leaders, I'm sorry, most of them, they do not there because of the people that they want to lead. They are there because of what they want to get. They are there because of the paraphernalia of office. They will have the opportunity of stealing money, the opportunity of having many people when they are in their community. They are the king that everybody is coming to prostrate for, but not the interest of the people. More than 70 to 80% of those who are in authority in this country, with all humility, they don't actually take responsibility.
Let's hold you on here, Imam, just so that we take a break. When we return, we'll allow you to complete your thoughts. Please stay with us as we go on break. Good Morning Nigeria continues after this timeout. All right, we thank you for staying with us. We've been discussing sustainable peace, and in line with the season that we are in, the Yuletide and the celebrations that come with it. Just before we went on break, Imam Fuad Adeyemi was trying to conclude his thoughts, and we'll just have him do that quickly.
Yes, those who are in the position of authority should actually show responsiveness. Let me give you an instance. During the second Caliph, after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was a day the leader stood up in front of people. He wants to lead prayer. Somebody raised up his hand and said, "Oga, please, you can't lead us." Say, "Why do you say so?" Say, "The cloth you are wearing, we knew they gave everybody, let's say they gave everybody 2 yards of cloth, and you are wearing something long." Say, "Because you are a liar, where did you get the cloth you are wearing? Because we knew how everybody got it." He didn't talk. He now called his first son, was Abdullah. Said, "Please tell them how I got it." He said, "My own is what I give my father." And that is why he now saw something very long. After that, people now say, "Now you can continue to lead us." That is responsiveness. And that is why everybody mind became so rest with him. During the time of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, there was Muhammad sallallahu moved from Mecca to Medina. The people in Medina said, "We don't want you, you must go back." It's like performing Hajj. And when you perform Hajj, you must shave your hair. The Prophet now told people that we have performed Hajj. Let everybody shave their hair. Nobody listened to him because to them, they did not perform Hajj. The Prophet was annoyed. He was angry. He didn't know what to do. He now met his wife that they went together. The wife told him, "Sir, you have a simple solution. You shave your own first. When they see you shaving your own, everybody will shave their own." So he shaved his own. The moment they saw him, everybody shaved his own. That is responsive leadership.
Fantastic. I think you've just, set the right, tone for solutions to some of the challenges that we currently face. And I'd like to get to Reverend Hayab now. Imam Adeyemi already spoke about what leaders should do. I mean, leadership, by example, that is key. Not the issue of do what I say and not what I do. But Reverend Hayab, I want you to speak about how we can now, in the bid to find solutions to some of the problems that we face, how can we convince marginalized groups to sacrifice for a system that they feel excluded from at this point? And then, don't you think that calling for sacrifice without inclusion is actually a threat to peace itself?
You're absolutely right. But we must also be honest in what is happening. There are a lot of people making sacrifices in Nigeria, whether they are masses or they are in privileged position. The only problem is that we don't magnify or praise those who are making the sacrifices. We dwell much on the others who have not done the sacrifices. So we should have a system in this country that recognizes, appreciates, and celebrates those who are making sacrifices. There are many sacrifices people can make. There are those who work in hospital, when we are sleeping in our homes, and when we are enjoying our Christmas holiday, where they are attending to patients, attending to sick people. That is sacrifice for sustainable development, which itself is for sustainable peace. Do you think of those army who are standing in the sun, in the hot sun, and sometimes in the rain, and some of us are just enjoying the comfort of our AC? That is sacrifice for sustainable peace. But sometimes we talked about this sacrifice as if nothing exactly is happening. Things are happening. But there's a word that DG said that I quite agree. The lack of taking ownership, making people see it as part of them, is what is making this sacrifice not visible. Is what is making this sacrifice not appreciated, people not making commitment. We need to make Nigerians see that their contribution is being recognized and it belongs to them. It is only in this country that people see governance as somebody's else. Don't forget that the president of Nigeria was once me. The governor of my state was once like me. The commissioner in my state was once like me. So everybody that is in leadership was first part of us and is also with us up to tomorrow. It is just first among equals. But sometimes we see them as if they are spectacular or different from us. They are not. They are us. If I am not good in making sacrifice when I become a leader, I will not make sacrifice. If I have not exemplified sacrifice in my everyday work, in my family, even if I get an office, there will be no sacrifice. Let me say something that happened yesterday in my house. Yesterday, almost 100 imams ate in my house. Not because I have money, but I just wanted to change the narrative. I say, look, I have read through the social media stories that are saying that Muslims shouldn't celebrate with Christians or eat Christian food. And I started calling my Muslim imams and JNI friends. And I put it to them, we laugh over it. When I call you, I will just say to you, I understand you don't eat Christian food. You say, no, I don't belong to that group. I say, okay, come to my house tomorrow by 2 p.m. on Christmas Day. Let's eat, to teach children, to teach younger generation that we can still do those things they did in the past and they were happy. And it was a fantastic gathering. So there are things we can be doing every day for you. Understand.
All right.
Many thanks, Reverend Hayab. I must say that, getting imams to come eat with you yesterday was actually a great one, and I hope everyone, will take a cue from that. I mean, today's Boxing Day, Victor.
When you've not even invited a fellow Christian to come and eat in your house, but it's okay. Let's take the messages.
Anyways, let's look at the messages that we have. This one says, what's the best way for one to celebrate Christmas? Another one says, Ahmed Baba Dikwa from Maiduguri. May the magic of Christmas fill your heart with peace, your home with warmth, and your days with joy. I wish you a season of lights, laughter, and love. Merry Christmas. Many thanks, Ahmed Baba Dikwa. Of course, we wish you the same. Jack Abba from Makodi says, thanks to NT and the discussants for this topic. May I ask these questions? What are the core values we are willing to sacrifice for sustainable peace? How do we balance individual interest with collective peace? What role does forgiveness play in making sacrifices for peace? Many thanks, Jack. I'm sure our guest here would respond to your questions. Victor?
All right. Let's take this to Dr. Salim O'Malley, just so that we get a feel of his own perspectives. Dr. Momale, please.
Thanks to our colleagues in the studio and for the excellent facilitation of the discussions. I think the issues are very critical to our national survival, to our growth, and to our stability. Nigeria, in terms of governance, is a secular country. What that secularism implies is that as a policy of government, they will not outrightly support or promote or strengthen one religion against the other, which is an excellent, administrative framework that has stabilized the country very well. But I think an error has always subsisted because we say that we are a secular state. We began to think that the government should be completely isolated from religion. And as a religious society, as religious people, I do not think that we will be able to progress and develop through that approach. What we need to do is recognize that the state has no state religion, but working with the religious leaders, working with religious institutions should not be seen as something that is not right, because like the earlier speaker said, both Reverend Hayab and Imam Faoud and the Director General, really the religious leaders have a very strong messaging power. They have a strong orientation capacity. They have the key to unlocking the minds, the hearts of Nigerian citizens. And I think we should use that to promote inclusion, to promote good governance, to promote quality citizens, citizens that recognize the virtues of good character, the virtues of accountability, and all of these things that we need in every society. So I strongly agree that there is a lot of need for dialogue, for engagements, and for orienting our young people, particularly very young children as they grow, right up through their families, through our religious institutions, through our education system, to create Nigerian citizens that value all of these core values that we need. And that links up to what the person is just asking in the comments, in the questions that you mentioned. We have to, right from the grassroots, right from the young age, orient and include peace education in our primary and secondary school curriculum. Include some of these fundamental values of unity and cooperation right from our primary and secondary school curriculum. And of course, in the training and orientation of our religious and faith-based institutions, our madrasas, our Islamia schools, our theological colleges, our preachings in the mosques, our Sunday sermons in the church, and all other religious activities. We need to integrate this, and I think the government have a role in working with these traditional rulers. I mean, traditional rulers, traditional leadership, and our religious leaders, working cohesively and inclusively together to map out these strategies that will give us a citizenry that we will all be proud of. A young population that is active, that is well-oriented, that is well-disciplined. Our religious, our traditional rulers, and our political leaders have the responsibility to do this for this country. Then, of course, our media institutions also have a critical role to support these core institutions of our society in shaping these narratives, in promoting what Reverend Hayab just did yesterday, in expanding some of these scopes and in countering the divisive narratives that are going on in the social media, in other spaces, as well as bringing in some of these aggrieved groups and parties from all parts of the country. We are all one nation, and we need to see this inclusiveness. We need to see this brotherhood that cut across the ethnic and religious divides. These are critical needs, and while also using these platforms to do the critical thing of ensuring accountability and respect for the rule of law for all citizens, including our top political and our administrative leaders, while ensuring this level of accountability that will give us a nation that we will all be proud of, that will recognize the sacrifices that is made by many Nigerians, our armed forces, our people in the hospitals, our transporters, all of these citizens that are making these huge sacrifices to make Nigeria grow, to make Nigeria develop, and to keep Nigeria peace and stable.
Dr. Momale, thank you very much. Your last note, which talked about sacrificing, really. I'm wondering, and I'm putting this to Chris Aguirre, and I'm wondering, who should sacrifice more for sustainable peace and national development? Is it our leaders? Is it the religious leaders? Or is it the people?
Yeah, well, there's a saying that to whom much is given, much is expected. To those that are privileged to occupy leadership position, leadership sacrifice. A lot of people clamor to lead. Leadership takes away your comfort.
In Nigeria?
No, fundamentally. That's what leadership ought to be.
Because, I mean, the reverse is the case here.
Oh, yes,
leadership brings comfort.
That is why we are agitating. That's why we're saying, look, a leader must show some compassion. It must show some empathy about those that you are leading. Leadership, as it is in Nigeria today, is that once you attain a certain position of leadership, appointed or elected, poverty is gone, you have the power to appropriate and reappropriate the public funds, which you see why the society, where a large segment of the society is very angry. So you just see this guy has nothing yesterday. Today, he's building mansions everywhere, owing, nobody questions how. Among the richest Nigerians today are people who are either from civil servants, political office holders, in whose money all in the name of politics. These are funds that were supposed to be appropriated for the good of the people. Those in leadership positions are expected to make greater sacrifice for the good of the society. Because if care is not taken, if a hungry man is an angry man, they will come for you. Our political leaders must have to reflect and renew check their ways, because you cannot. Everybody's corruption to the extent that one person will be taking about 100 billion of public funds. Let's not forget that the funds appropriated by political leaders to their cronies and friends, to themselves, is a public fund from our commonwealth. They're expected to make more sacrifice. Then, you as a citizen, you owe it a duty to yourself, to your God, to the state that ordinarily is expected to guarantee your safety. You are expected to make sacrifices. At least to start with, look at the armed forces, the military, the police. These ones have already sacrificed their lives, already signed their own death warrant for the good of the society. Part of the sacrifice is support them, consciously support the police, the army, the civil defense, all those ones who are just,
working for us.
Yes, working for us.
But you see, when you talk about the military, the police, and all of that, do you think that excessive militarization is the way to go, or we should rather invest more in education, jobs, welfare, such that all of this would bring peace, and not we no longer have to bother about the police, the military, and all of that, because when people are educated, people are well taken care of, people have jobs, people can feed their communities, everybody will move around freely.
Under the circumstances that we are, of course, law comes in where morality fails, and morality will always fail because of part of the things you highlighted, lack of education. Education is designed to enhance your rational sense of judgment, so that you don't need to be coerced to do what you are expected to do. So you abide by the laws and rules and conventions that govern the society. But apart from that, what I mean, support for the business. Look at the current security situation, where we look up to them to secure us and all that. They are human beings. They are life and blood. So support them on one hand. Then, issue of education, issue of enlightenment, issue of
jobs,
and mobilization of the people,
basic infrastructure,
citizenship engagement. Some of the funds being embezzled, the funds are designed to build industries, to enhance our institutions, our facilities, to engage the hands of the young people. And unfortunately, a lot of young Nigerians are yet to see what is dividends to democracy. They have not seen government in action. The news that fills their head is issue of corruption, because you guys in the media said bad news, moves faster, sells faster. So it's a misgrill of some sort. But going forward, as a people, as a government, it is time to reflect and to say, look, what do we do to get ourselves into a society that works for all? Society that works
Many thanks. We've run out of time completely, Mr. Chris Agreement. Thanks for your inputs and your thoughts. I'd like to hear the final words, for this conversation as we round off from Dr. Momale. In 30 seconds, what will be your advice, to Nigerians in general as we look forward to 2026?
Thank you so much. Just to also respond and support the earlier speaker, those that need to make the highest sacrifice are leaders. And when we say leaders, we are not just saying leaders at one level, but leadership at all levels. Whoever is called a leader must make the greatest sacrifice. And we are looking up to the sacrifice as we move into 2026 We are looking up to the leadership of the country, the leadership of our religious institutions, the leadership of our educational institutions, the leadership of our respective families. We are all looking up to you to do the best for Nigeria, to do what is right for Nigeria. You all know what is right for Nigeria. You know what to do, and let us do that thing collectively. And let's engage our citizens, let's orient them, let's support our young people, provide job opportunities, provide opportunities for employment, and support our armed forces and other security organizations in the work that they do.
Very much, Dr. Mamale. I wish Reverend Hayab, can speak to us in 10 seconds. Is that possible? Your last words as we round up the conversation.
To see every Nigerian see himself as a leader, whether you have been elected or not, everyone should see as himself as a leader. And let the change and the sacrifice begins with you. If you do it at your level, everything will work well. You don't need to wait for president or governor of anybody. Do it at your level, because nobody knows who will be the next president, who will be the next governor. Learn to do it now.
Learn to do it now. Imam Adeyemi, I know on your program you will have so much to say as we report to 2026, but let's give you 5 seconds.
Avoid deceit as a leader, as a follower. Let your act match what you say.
Let your act match what you say. Victor, take that seriously.
That's a very fine
And because that's the message for everyone. Thank you for being our guest. Imam Fuad Adeyemi, National Chief Imam, Al-Habibiyya Islamic Society, and also the presenter of
Abrahamic
Mission on the NTA. Thank you so much for being our guest. We do sincerely
Thank you so
appreciate you.
much.
Thank you for your thoughts and the things that you do. We appreciate you. Of course, Chris Aguri, Director General, Flag Foundation of Nigeria. Thank you so much. Looking forward to 2026, and of course, seeing you fly the green, white, green all the time.
Yes, the flag must fly.
Yeah, Dr. Salim Omale, former Executive Vice Chairman, Kaduna Peace Commission. Thank you so much, sir. Of course, it's been a pleasure having you, and of course, all through the year, we look forward to 2026 on a good note. And yes, I also appreciate Reverend John Joseph Hayab, Chairman, Christian Association of Nigeria, Northern Chapter, and also the Country Director, Global Peace Foundation, Nigeria. Thank you so much, Reverend. In case you find me in your house, I hope the food is still left. So, all right, thank you so much, everyone. So that's our package, Boxing Day. Victor, it's time to go. I'm Henry John, never locked on the NTA.
Well, I'm Victor as well. My take home, I've forgiven you for all the wrongs against me this year. Happy New Year!